What's up, everybody? Power Kings, Power Queens, non binary monarchs of the sea. It is so great to see you. We've got a wonderful guest with us today, the winner of the Sakura Kingdom Square-Off #1, Vampoch. How you doing, friend?
Well, good mate, and you?
I'm doing all right. It's great to have you on here. So, getting right into things, you took down the tournament with a fully undefeated record and a couple other tournaments, too. You've kind of been on a rampage with this thing with your Purple Kaido list, right?
Yeah, I've been really lucky that this list I made is I really feel it like at least I have been able to play against other Kaidos and other decks is at least in my opinion the best that Kaido has right now as a mono purple.
Okay, nice, nice. I was looking at the list a little bit earlier today, and there's some pretty interesting things about it. Before we get too deep into the details of the cards themselves, though, I just want to ask you a couple questions just to get to know the man behind the icon, the man behind the Purple Kaido. Aside from killing tournaments on One Piece, is there anything else you like to do? Is there anything else that that interests you?
Mostly I'm studying biology, so I really like about system about bioinformatics, so that's my line of work. Other than that, I also like to do is in sports. It's called a rhythmic combat. That is just you do combat with the rhythms of different songs and music. So that's how I work out. And other than that, no, I really like to be on with reading a lot of manga, reading a lot of books. I do a little bit of everything. So right now, while I'm still in college, I think I have the time to do that. When I'm already on a job, I won't have so much time. So I'm just enjoying my time here right now.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I feel like, and you're doing your bachelor's or your master's.
My bachelor's.
Okay, nice, 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 nice. Well, I wish you luck with that. I'm sure it'll go great for you. Have you
Thank
read
you.
anything good lately?
Read, yeah, like I really like science fiction, so mostly about the end of end how was it called? The end of childhood. I believe that was very good. Also like all the complete collection of H.P. Lovecraft. That's one of my favorite authors. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Um,
Don't worry about it.
and other than that, like yeah, my main thing is with science fiction. But I also almost forgot. I really like some light novels, like I some animes or mangas that start, and then I find out that they are based on light novels. So,
Okay.
like for example, my favorite by far is An Ascendance of a Bookworm. That is just mostly wholesome, mostly really happy story, but it has its ups and downs. And it's really really good. My favorite story by far. It has an anime, it has a manga, it's everything. And then on the more fantasy side, I really love Overlord. That also has a manga. It's based on a light novel. So all of that they when they base something on a book, I really really enjoyed it.
Nice, nice. You said An Ascendance of a Bookworm. That was the one that you were talking about, the wholesome life novel.
Yeah, yeah, it's really really nice, and the world building is insanely good.
Uh, and and we do love world building around here, don't we?
Yeah, that's One Piece, that's for sure.
That's awesome. We're gonna have to check those out actually. So, One Piece being a relatively new game, you seem like someone who seems to have experience with card games. Did you play anything else before One Piece got announced? Do you still play other games?
Before, when I was much younger, before college and everything, I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. I played until before they introduced pendulums to whoever knows about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh
And
God.
after that, I played mostly a little, just like for half a year, Pokemon. I didn't like the rotations. I really just like the game for a moment. And then after that, I mostly stayed on online games, so like Hearthstone, Shadowverse. Also, I played for a while, but nothing competitive. And then I just found website like Untap, tabletop simulator things that I could play card games that I don't have physically and don't have the
Okay.
time or the money to buy the card. So there I started to play mostly in those spaces.
Nice. And you were playing like a bunch of different things on Untap, just like whatever you could get a game of.
Before, no, I only played mostly Digimon before the One Piece. I really, if you find me in Untapped, you'll see that I have the Aboromon profile picture. It's just I haven't changed it. I will probably change it sooner than later because I haven't played Digimon for a while. But
It's
yeah,
your calling card now.
I absolutely love that deck. And then when the One Piece was announced, I just thought like, no, I if I'm gonna put some time to a game, is something I really enjoy, all the lore and everything behind it. I also like Digimon, but I only like the three first seasons, and after that I lost all connection to the Digimon. So I have nostalgia, but it's much more recently biased to One Piece.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it does something when there's that extra layer to it with the card games, and like with Digimon, like I remember liking Digimon a little bit, and I was like, oh, cool, Agumon, but I don't know. I think I played like a Three Musketeers game with someone. It was like, oh, I know nothing about these characters, and they look really cool, and I kind of want to learn more. But then when One Piece happens, I'm like, oh, I mean, I've got to play as like my favorite, like that sort of thing. It's powerful.
Exactly.
And then so it's yeah, sounds like you've done a lot. A quick question for you actually, when you were talking about not liking Pokemon's rotation. Um, so when it comes to card games and and the developers have to either combat power creep or and I guess sometimes push product, but also um, change up the playing fields. I
Hmm.
know good card design is definitely going to be the number one thing you can do to that end, but if there's something else that's needed, how would you prefer a game tackles that? Because Pokemon and Magic do rotation. Yu-Gi-Oh is the ban list. I have heard Digimon has like blocks, but I don't think they've done rotation yet. Correct me if I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, Digimon. It seems like it will get blocks. Right now, it has a ban list, so maybe
Okay.
they're going more on that way, more on the Yu-Gi-Oh side, since it's also a Japanese-based more game. Like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. Yeah, well, Magic is the US, but Pokemon, even though it's based on Japanese franchise, I believe is more based on the on the on the Western side.
I think
So I
there's more
think that
players. Yeah.
yes. So on that side, I think, but yeah, like in how I like the games, I like to get restrictions in the game, and so when it goes such overboard that is to skip to restrict the whole set, I feel like yes, that's a way to keep a power creep and make some interactions that will be broken to prevent them. But I think that that takes a lot of the game out. So when you go back, you don't have the nostalgia, you don't have so much to play again. And yeah, there'll probably be a power creep in the game, but there's still some card like what I liked about Yu-Gi-Oh that even now today play older formats, but I can see that even today on the older format, they still use cards that were printed on the first set because they were
Yeah.
just that's overpowered in the moment, and even though they have been in many ways overpowered, there's a niche for them.
Yeah. And it is nice that with the ban list stuff. Because for me it was I was coming out from a budget player. I liked rotation because I know what was going off. But the surprise of a ban list and like
Yeah,
one
exactly.
like they I think they brought like Change of Heart back recently, and everyone lost their minds about it. Which, like one that's like, oh hey, drama, but also like, wow, who would have thought? And I feel like the fact that these different pieces of history can coexist together, that does seem pretty cool about it. And I guess it's something I didn't really think about as much until you just gave me your perspective on that.
Exactly. So yes, it's a big part of the surprise. Just what the people in the top are doing mostly. Yes, mostly is to sell new things. We always know that if
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
restricting something, they're not gonna restrict something they're gonna want to sell later.
right.
But even though we will still want to make a bigger spread of playable decks, so more people are interested in the game. So that's a very cool equilibrium they have to make.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to my next question because the fact that we do have such a diverse metagame, at least for the moment, but also for being this early, is one of the things I like about One Piece so much. Anything that you really like about the game? Anything that you would like to see changed? Any thoughts on those avenues?
Like no, as you said, right now the the meta is really diverse. Like every single deck can win, but of course you're gonna get some that have a more powerful effects, more powerful cards, more powerful synergies. So, but every deck has a certain response to even the strongest plays of the other decks if they have enough time or if they are able to respond earlier than others or if they just have their key cards. Like, for example, with Purple, I really like that it really has a response for everything. It can respond to everything, to a rush deck, to a control deck, to a combo deck. But of course, you have to draw the cards. That's the thing that uh, um, the,
Yep.
the thing that it really lacks is draw power like other cards. It doesn't have a searcher by itself like other colors have to a
Yeah.
certain degree. So that's one of the things that it has it limiting. But I think that if you see the good enough cards you need against a certain match, you will always have a path to victory. Maybe you won't be able to execute it because that's what I've seen a lot in my games lately. That I got a path, I could have won, but I just took the wrong path at the last moment. So that happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, always nice to know someone else to learn, I guess. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. Is there anything you're excited for with the game? With all the next stuff coming out, or as time goes on.
Yeah, like for one of the things I think that is not good about the game right now is that the dual color leaders,
Mm-hmm.
for them to have only 4 life is such a big limiting factor to them because yes, you die one hit early, but also you get one card less to draw, one resource less than the monocolor leaders. So right now, I think that yeah, they're weaker. There are many things that just can still win with them, but it's very limiting. But the more that the game goes on, the synergies will go crazy probably. So probably even for life, they will be crazy good. So right now, yeah, there is a limit they have, but I think that will be fixed in the future with more cards that come in. And I'm really very excited to see what they come out with the Marines because and my favorite color in Digimon was black. So I don't think that is gonna change because I really like purple. But yeah, maybe they'll change and go for more of the black decks with the
Yeah.
Marines.
Well, let me ask you this, because we've seen a couple cards from Star Deck 6 with Akainu, and so far the gimmick seems to be reducing cost and then extra effects based on whatever cost zero characters are out. Um,
Mhm.
if you could design that Star Deck, what would be like your priorities for it? Like if you could like either make a card or like specify what black is beyond what we've seen so far, like what do you think the best way to do that would be? Just out of curiosity.
Like I'm really a sucker for fields. Like I really love in Yu-Gi-Oh! I always love to have a field that did something that was something like plays a stage and does something to pressure your opponent. That's why I really like purple because it has a Nigashima.
Mm-hmm.
The only other stage is sadly the Thousand Sunny, and it's not good sadly right now. Maybe it'll
Oh,
be in the future if there's more synergy with the stages. But I
yeah,
would love to see another stage in the Marine deck that probably Marine headquarters or
yeah,
something of the such. And I think that it will be really good to have a passive reduction, so they have always the effect. So I think if they are if they get to the reducing of the cost, I think they will be very good against aggro because aggro is always trying to play the cheapest mini characters
mm-hmm.
to hit their face as early as possible. But if you do that against black that is trying to go to zero, since they're so small, they probably be able to wipe field really easily. So I think that the introduction of a black will make an even greater break for aggressive decks like what's it called, Law and Sorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Zora was doing really well in the God, what is it? That Throne Wars tournament. I think that
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, of course you vanquished one, but then I think the other one it was like both of them were the top two players, right?
yeah, I was the only different deck on the top on the finals.
Hey,
Only
we
thing.
love to. Someone's got to break the mold, man. Um, Yeah, I love that. I'm really excited for Black, and it'll be nice to see, the ebb and flow of all the different play styles, and like, because I think I just love watching meta change. I think it's gonna be nice.
Of
Um,
course.
and as far as like One Piece goes, like, how long have you been a fan of it? Do you have any, I guess specific moments that you remember from it, or has it meant anything to you? Favorite characters? What's been being a fan like for you?
No, my beginning One Piece was very weird because I didn't know I told you I was in Yu-Gi-Oh since before I graduated in school,
Right.
but I didn't see any anime other than Yu-Gi-Oh, more or less. So I didn't know any real anime before I got to college. And there
Okay.
I was on how's it called, student home for the Opus Dei. So it was a really religious place. So I think like I didn't think I was gonna learn anything new there. I was always going out only to college.
Uh huh.
But then there were some presentation that the students could do to the general schoolhouse, and interesting enough, one of the student that looked the most serious of everyone made a presentation about One Piece.
Oh my god. Oh my
So
god.
it was really weird that in such a religious school that they will let them present something like that. So I just saw the presentation. I was like, this looks really interesting, and I went and I just started reading. I remember the first chapter I saw was Frankie's fight against the CP90 member. I
Oh,
remember the
Fukuro.
Fukuro, exactly.
They're just punching
That
each
fight,
other.
yeah, that was the first page I saw ever of One Piece, and then I started to read it, and I have no context. I'm gonna start from the beginning. I began until today, still going on the story. And
Nice.
no, it's been amazing because since I started so early, well, not so early, not the earliest, but still early for the story. I got like I always remember very vividly the time skip, the whole month we had waiting for that for the first time. But we had more or less just really recently with almost when finishing Wano,
Yeah.
and it was really weird to see. It really felt like 2 years to
I
be able to
know.
wait for that.
I
And after
was
that, yes,
Oh, I was gonna say that like during that last like 4 week break, I was like, God, how did I get through that time skip from before? Because this is torture, you know. Like I was like, it must have been easy for younger me. I don't know, but anyway, you keep going. You keep saying what you were gonna say.
no, and other than that, that moment like in real life, the moments in the story that I really just got in grain in my head is mostly from my favorite character, that is Mr. Two, Bon Clay Benton. That character, I don't know why, is just I never gotten the concept of an Okama before in my life also. I never knew what that was. And then I started to see that character that started like a opponent, then like a friend, but then a sacrificing friend. Like, how do you sacrifice so much for someone you just met in that sense? And then when he came back in Impel Down, it was just crazy good. The whole character development, they don't show him as completely benevolent because he leaves Luffy at a certain moment, but then he comes back and tries to make everything back and
Yeah,
sacrifices himself yet again. So that's a character I feel like is the purest, and in my heart is just an honorary straw hat.
yeah, 100%. I feel like he represents such a core theme of One Piece of compassion and like you said, I've barely known you, but like I feel a bond with you and I'm here for you. Um, that scene with the wolves and Impel Down. That's I think if I'm like trying to get someone in One Piece, I'm like I think you like this character. Like that's like the first scene I show them, and it's okay. You're like,
Yeah, that, and
wow,
also
yeah,
the one they really adapted real well in the anime was the Gambare, Gambare on the when he was cheering Luffy when he was recovering from the poison. That scene always gets me. I really like to repeat it. When I'm just want to see something to get my spirits up, I put that in, and it really gets me going because yeah, I like going against all odds, against everything that could go bad, and it's just screaming your your vocal cords out for someone you just really care about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so wholesome. I love it.
Mhm.
Um, cool. Well, like loving getting to know you. But I think it's time to talk about this epic deck that you have here. So you've got a mono purple Kaido list. I recorded my summary of the square off number one earlier today, and I was looking at a spreadsheet. I have 7 different entries of mono purple Kaido. 4 of them are yours, and 4 of them have done very well. Only one set dropped so far. So what made you choose this deck? I know you're talking about how like purple can have how it can respond to any kind of playstyle, but was there anything else that factored into that decision? As opposed to like blue purple, or I would say king, but it's king. So yeah.
No, yeah, King, I sadly don't see such a. I see that the whole effect is very contrary to what you want to do with the Dawn because you want to use it. So staying on 10 is really not what you want to do with purple. But
Yeah.
interestingly enough, with Blue Purple Kaido,
Hmm.
I did my first tournament I played was with that Kaido. I got second place, losing against the law, and
Okay.
I saw that yeah, it made good ramp. I didn't, for example, use Onigashima on that deck because the effect ramp is good enough.
Right.
But again, I always felt like their life was 4 life was too big of a restriction of a handicap.
Mm,
And
that
then
makes
I
sense.
started to play with that deck, trying to make it better. But then what I found out is that every single time I found myself fighting against a purple Kaido, I would lose because I was playing pretty much with only 3 life. That's the thing that going against Kaido, you know you're gonna lose 1 life for free at a certain moment of the game. So
Mm,
if you play dual color against Kaido, you're playing with only 3 life pretty much.
yeah.
And that's the thing that really turned me away from the dual colors and just put me on the track with the Kaido because I really like the cards, so Nikashima, everything like that. And when I had to take it out, I was really like, I really want to play, but it's not good. But then I started playing with a list very near to what I had.
Uh huh.
But then I saw a tournament, a Kaido deck that won a 200 player tournament in
Uh
Thailand.
huh.
And in that moment, it was very near. I was very surprised because it was very near for what I had. The only big differences was that he ran less events than me, and
Mm-hmm.
he ran the big events he played is Brachio Bomber,
Right.
and also he played the page one, so just to use with the ulti effect.
Yeah. He also played
So
Orochi as well, right?
Orochi, yeah, he played 16 2K counters, while in mine, if you see the deck list, I only played 12.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in that sense, when I saw that deck, I was like, yeah, that's good, but I'm a close friend with Zenith, and Zenith, if you know his trajectory in the game, he won one of the first and biggest tournaments in Discord with
Oh yeah.
Soul. So when I practice with him, I always try to go like against Zoro because that's his best deck. He's probably gonna beat me. It's a very hard matchup for Kaido, so I want to know what I can do to beat him.
Right.
And
Right.
to have cards like the Brachio Bomber is just a dead card for him. And since already the 10 cost Kaido, I really want to play it, but also a dead card against Zoro. So I want to get the least amount of dead cards against a really aggro deck. I feel that's one of the biggest hardships that Kaido has to go through. So I decided to go more on the defensive side and go with a lot of events and with also a good amount of blockers. Yeah, so that was my main idea with the deck. Before I spoke with Zenith, and to the iteration I have right now, to the one I use in the team qualifiers.
Yeah.
The only difference is that in that deck I used instead of the Utas, I played
Uh-huh.
the two cost Black Marias that are also blockers. because I thought like I really needed small blockers to be able to defend. That is very popular still in a lot of the meta. But then Zenith told me that Uta was really annoying for him. And I was like, right. I thought like maybe even the Black Maria will be more annoying because he gets to 6k. But I
Mm-hmm.
went and tried the Black Maria and it's really, really good against Sakura. Like if they have two or more characters on the field, they're gonna lose an attack if you play the Uta. It's just really, really good. If they're empty on field, it's not as good, but it's really really good to be able to play when they're already on the field because they're gonna have to play around it because they know something is gonna get blocked, so they have to prioritize certain attacks. So I'm really 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 grateful for Zenith for making that suggestion for the deck, and right now that really helps to go against a certain deck. Like before, I was really having a lot of trouble against Law, against Kid, also sometimes against Kid on the early game when they got the 5 calls Kid with blocker.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Uta, she can make them go rested. So to get rid of a blocker, to be able to attack something, like maybe even something small like what's it called, a Momo or a Bonnie that
Uh-huh.
they haven't used the effect yet, is really really good because if you play it, then they have to use the effect and make them vulnerable. Or if you have already one in the Uta on the field, they cannot
Yeah.
leave it for another turn. So it's a really oppressive force that I've been able to see in the games I played.
That's really spicy. I think that was like my favorite card in your list. The fact that was in there, so really cool to see that. What about DS Drake? Have you been liking that card with like that little bit of hand control?
Yes, the thing is, I also tried a deck with the all the drakes and also
The
the never
Jack.
skipping chest, the jack,
Yeah.
and it was interesting, but I found that Drake was much better as a card because the 2K counter
Mm-hmm.
and the effect was more immediate to attack and have the effect. Yeah, it can be repeatable and it can be good, but I always find that it's very difficult to resolve it because if you're gonna resolve it, then your opponent will be ready, will know what to discard, will be able to have a turn to go to play around it, and it's the same. It's on the same vein why I play the Sasaki just for the counter
Mm-hmm.
mostly, but also if I don't see the Anigashima, I play with the. I also get sometimes to attack and gain one Dawn. Instead, I could play like for example the Jack, the other Jack that gives an active Dawn.
Yeah.
But really, the main thing is that with the Sora deck, the magic number against them is 7,000 because that's the most normal number they're gonna be not be able to pass. They'll be attacking with 6, so that's the number you wanna get. So that's why I have that. And also, one of the another player when he saw my list and asked me, "Why do you play the ulti if you don't have any page ones?"
You have no
Instead,
page ones.
yeah, no page one. So why do you play the ulti? And it was just plainly just because two things. One, the 2K blocker, the to play counter. I mean,
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
in all my tournaments I played with this deck in tournament. I never once placed Uta on the field. I think if I don't remember. I remember that after I said that to another player, there was a game I played her, but I don't think it was in a tournament. And I play her instead. Like the other option that will be Orochi. I mean, I think yeah,
Mm.
yeah, Orochi. And there's another one, yeah, and the Buena Fiesta. If that's at least if I'm really on the top deck or something like that, she can be an attacker as a last resource. The other ones just yeah they can the Buena Fiesta can search, but I don't play the film card, so that'll be
Right.
yeah that's card. Well, I
Actually,
play the Uta, yes, I play the Uta, but that's only 4 cards in the 50 card deck.
right. Actually, since we're on the topic of film cards, what are your thoughts on Douglas Bullet? Do you think it would be like a worthy inclusion here, or is it not really vibe with the strategy, or do the Kaidos already take care of all your big plays?
Yeah, with the bullet right now with the Kaidos, I feel that in the Kaido decks the 9 cost and 10 cost Kaido do a much better job than the bullet. But there are some other decks I've been trying out because since I already, in my what I think in my experience, this is the deck list I'm gonna be using if I wanna try to win a tournament. That's the one I'm gonna go competitive.
Yeah.
But the other ones I've been trying to play to get more to knowing and a higher skill level of play are Doflamingo because there's a lot of planning around it, and mostly the blue purple crocodile. I found
Mm-hmm.
that in that deck, the bullet is really good because you're gonna be able to defend after you have been able to play him. So the turn you play it, you're not completely dead because you've been able to defend all the turns before, and you can receive one full turn of aggression, and then on the next turn be able to use the effect or be able to capitalize and recover and keep the game until you go into the late game.
Yeah. And you played against that blue purple crocodile deck in the tournament, right?
Exactly, and the thing is that I was it was very lucky on my side that the week before the tournament, I don't know why there was like a boom. Someone won with maybe a blue purple Kaido, I don't know, blue purple crocodile or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but everyone was playing that deck. So
Really?
yeah, so I got a good practice out of it, and I learned that to beat that deck, what you have to do is just attack with 5,000 with the minimum amount of dawn attached to everything because that deck is since is such a high reliance on events, and
Mm-hmm.
so they if they use an event they have to go even for the smallest of attacks they'll have to counter with an event, so they're losing technically 3,000 counter power in one single attack. So you just try them out of resources after small attacks, and then you go for a bigger attack in the end. So that's I've been able to see, and that's what I'm trying to play around in my builds.
I am. I'm excited to see what discoveries you make to that end. Were there any other matches you played during the tournament that were interesting, or anything that you remember super well, or anything that was a challenge for you, or anything like that?
There was one that really as a challenge, I didn't feel like there was in the moment like that really pushed me over like the on the finals against Jack. He put me, we went from he got me to 0 life while he still had 4 life. But I even with that amount of life, I was still really secure because I've been able to get enough events and 2K counters on the hand to build my hand to be able to be defensive on the falling, and I was able to win that game also. And other than that, like I was really lucky because one of the main things I like about this deck is something that I saw from I really love from the Digimon, which is not overused, is the trigger effects.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
So if
think
you see my deck, I have 10 cards that have trigger effects: the four Who's, the three Ultimortars, and the three Thunderbagwas. So with
what's
that,
the Ultimortar trigger effect doing? Could you remind me of that?
the same as the Thunderbagwa, just get one active Dawn.
Sounds good to me.
So with that, in if you just see it from on the top on paper, is yeah, you get one more RAM, but how significant can that be? Well, in that tournament, I got against I think it was against Doflamingo that he was going second. So on his second turn, he played a boa,
Uh huh.
and then he attacked with his leader. Normally against, I always try to let the first attack come in to get more options, or maybe if I don't have the Nigashima, maybe it's on the life. But very unfortunately for him, he hit an Ultimortar. So on my next turn, I was on 6 Dawn and got to play the 6 cost King on the ramp. So
Mm-hmm.
that really just pretty much gave me the game right there because that was a complete loss of defense and offense and draw power from his side.
Dang.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main thing I try to do with this deck to be able to. if they attack my life, to be able to have something to defend myself, or to be able to get a resource from, or if not, maybe get a Nigashima and get the engine going.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Speaking of your king and also the Kaidos, I see you've got just a 2-2 split for both kings, both Kaidos. Have you been enjoying that? Has more testing made you like, I guess, drift in a certain way, or do you think just even split gives you the versatility you need to deal with whatever you're facing?
Yeah, mostly the versatility, because I've seen that in, depending on the tournament, I'll find that I fight a lot of Laws, Soros, and then in the next one I'll play a lot of the Flamingos, I'll play some Kaidos, and in those cases the king is very variable. Is if I get the good king, I'll just be able to go over them, and if I get the wrong one, maybe I won't have such a big advantage, but I'll be able to delete something on the to KO something on the field. So that the one I feel that can change depending on the meta is the king. If I see a certain,
Mm-hmm.
if I know in advantage how the meta is going, I'll try to change the kings accordingly. But the Kairos, I think I'll never change those the Kairos ratios, because right now is, I feel like they just come when needed, and if I get to play either of the 10 costs or the 9 costs, it is a really big advantage. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like, yeah, they can be better for center matchups, but in general, they just to have 2 and 2, just to be able to count on them if you draw them, and then to know if you just discard them with with
With
the
Queen.
queen effect, that to
Yeah.
at least have one more in your pocket is always really safe to know. And maybe you, if you have 2 and you discard one, the other player say, okay, he's not gonna use it, go overboard and just capitalize on that over what it called? Yeah,
Overextending.
overextending. Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're good, man. No worries. Well, yeah, that all makes sense to me. Yeah, neither
And
the Kaidos is bad. Some you might want like one might be like better in general for a certain matchup, but like if you see one of them, you're like, I'm fine with this. If I'm understanding correctly.
exactly. And the only thing that I've seen a lot of people like no, don't give enough credit is the Ultimortar. That's a card that when it came out, like, yes, it's technically 3 Dawn for only 2K, but it's really bad. Many people thought that and didn't want to play it. But then I really value the card draw, and even some cards that I've seen that to, like the structure deck Sasaki. I thought about playing it for just the card draw,
Yeah.
but that's really too much of a. There's much better cards right now in the deck, but the
Yeah.
Ultimortar, I just found that the trigger effect and the draw card when you're just in the late game is just too good. Is and in what in the last tournament, the Sakura tournament too, we just had,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
even though I lost the game because I played more aggressive than I should,
Mm.
I was able to survive precisely 1 turn because of Ultimortar. Because I had 9, I had 4,000 counter power in my hand,
Uh-huh.
and my opponent attacked for 9. So I would have died at that moment, but I played the ulti and draw and a character with counter, so I was able to survive for a 1 more turn. So the draw card aspect is really really good on the Ultimortar.
Yeah. I mean, because that was like one of the things you were saying at the very start when we discussed purple. Like, draw is the one thing it doesn't have, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to play Star Deck Sasuke, but you know you'll take what you can get, and if you've got a good trigger effect, why not go for it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, Anything else about the deck you want to mention? Is there something that if someone wanted to give this deck a try, is there something specific you'd say to them, like to put them in the right direction with it?
Okay, yeah. So it all depends always in the matchup. Like for example, if you're going second, always try to mulligan for the Higurashi if it's an aggressive deck. If you're not, then try, if you're going first, try to mulligan either for the Onigashima always.
Uh-huh.
But if you get a Sasaki, that's also good to ramp. That's also goes good. And then try to make to one of the main things I try to get on the field as soon as possible is a queen. The queen as a 6k blocker is really really good against a lot of matchups. The draw power is always good,
Uh-huh.
and even if it's bounced or even if it's KO, they have to put a lot of resources behind it. And also in this deck is also that I think is the main power I saw when I play it, and I really like that kind of gameplay is to do a comeback victory. Because in many games I'll prefer to go to at least 2 life. That's the like the I try to let the opponent just work for it, but just give it enough leeway so that he attacks until I get to 2 dawn and to 2 life. I mean,
Yeah.
because at that moment the Thunderbug will become active, and it's a really really good ramp. It's insanely good for a 4K counter,
Yeah.
and then to ramp is insanely good. And at that moment you're gonna be able to play their big cards really quickly and use the Kaido effect a lot more, and be able to maybe even be able to use it twice in a game. That's pretty much game winning if you have a good enough field. So yeah, the main thing to play this deck is just to be patient on the beginning, know how to survive, get to as low as 2 by giving your opponent just enough leeway, and when you get to 2, always have at least 1 or 2 dawn free for your events, because the events really is something that even if you don't have them, is that something that a lot of people don't see the potential is just to have an open dawn that really
It's a good
scrambles the
bluff.
mat in your exactly just to buff it. Your opponent won't know what event that you have.
Yeah.
So and that moment they're gonna be always trying to go around a 4K counter because Blast Blade is just that good. But
Yeah.
then at that moment, you will be able to control much better, and then to execute their opponent with bigger cards. And also, as you were asking earlier about the opinion on the X Drake,
Yeah. Yeah.
mostly I do it for the 2K counter, but in the late game, it's really really good just to be able to get rid of your opponent's hand and secure the hit. If they have 2 cards, just to make sure that you only have to put 2 dawn on your leader to attack and secure the attack instead of going 4 dawn. And I also have one another attacker in the next turn if needed. So I found that X-Drake is really good, and just to play him when you're gonna use the Kaido effect, the leader Kaido effect, is really good just to play something big,
Yeah.
get the use of the Dawn. You're gonna still just get rid of it, so might as well use it with something that takes away your opponent's ability to defend, and just go for it, or go for the game, or just prepare for the next turn to secure the kill.
Nice. And how often do you find yourself using the leader effect? I mean, I assume you use it in most games. Do you ever have you ever like used it twice in a game?
Yeah, as I told you, if I get to dawn and I haven't, if I see the Thunderbug was, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get at least a second use of the Kaido leader. And against, like for example, the Purple Kaido, no, the blue purple crocodile,
Mm-hmm.
I found it in the beginning really hard because I just couldn't get an attack in. It was always trying like attack, and they just bend and then counter and then draw and bend and counter and draw. I said that I'm not getting I'm not getting ahead in this game in any way. But then I just think, okay, I'm doing that, but they're not attacking. And each turn I get done. So you're starting using the leader effect,
Mm-hmm.
and in a match against a blue purple crocodile, I was able to use the leader effect 3 times, and that was just completely breaking for him because that's just too much life to be taken for free.
No. Oh my God. Well, you broke a very hot streak of Jags. He was taking names, and like he spent a lot of time on that deck. He earned it, but kudos to you for that victory and all your other ones. Any
and
other
and
any other? Oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, And the other thing that I was gonna tell you that I already said a
Please.
little bit in the beginning is that with this deck, what I think, how I feel it, this of course is just my experience with it, is that you always have a path to victory. With this
Mm-hmm.
deck, there you can misplay, you can do a lot of things that won't go your way, but there's always a way if you draw the cards are advantageous for you in a certain matchup. You're always gonna be able to get a win. In the last two tournaments I had the way to win. But I decided on the wrong way to go. So it's just to learn the matchups better. But in the end, I know that with this deck, for now, I know that if I go with the objective of winning,
Yeah.
I know that the deck will give me a way to win in the end.
So would you say that, would you call it best deck in format, like, unequivocally, or?
At least how I feel it, how I play it, yes. But I feel that I still feel like against if I saw more Soros against me,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm really scared of Zenith Zoro. That's for sure. If I whenever I go to practice with him, I'm always losing a really harsh battle, an uphill battle against him. But I know I can win if I see the 7 cost king, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to get the Uta out and those kind of things. So I know I have the tools to get to win, but it's
Right.
the hardest matchup in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the strongest deck on in a single what do you say
A
in
best
a
of one.
straight line, more or less to say. Not in best of one, not in that, but in the sense that you have to be more careful on playing around the card. You don't have a straight down plan to do because it's so adaptable. You have so many options to go against so many matches. You have to know against what you're playing and then know what's the best way to play against them in the moment and know what tools to keep and when to execute them
Yeah.
because you're very reactive. You're only going reactive in the late game. No, it's no wait. You're very reactive and then you go into the offensive in the late game. But in the early game,
Okay.
you have to survive and then know how to defend yourself and then know that you have the field to take the game to take the win.
Okay. That's really useful. That's good to know. And it's one of those things where the deck has so many options, but it's one of those ones where it's good in the hands of a player who knows how to use it, which I think is usually the marker
Yeah,
of a good
because
deck.
that's the mark of a good game is that any deck can play, but the mark of a good deck is itself is the player, and that's something I really enjoy of the One Piece card game is that of all every single Purple Kaido I played, I've been able to win against it because even though maybe even someone has copied my list, it's very probable, but I'm not sure. They'll probably be playing the same cards, they have the same options, but I know how to play around it. I know how to best execute them, and in the end, I feel like against another Purple Kaido, I know I can win because I know the match better than anyone because I'm the one playing it.
So what you're saying is that next week we're doing a tournament where everyone plays your Purple Kaido list and only plays against you to see who can dethrone you, or if you're just gonna slaughter everyone.
Not slaughter because there's always the chance of breaking everything. But if I have the options come out, I know I'll be able to know what to when to use it in the right moment to win.
All right, that's a good response. That's a very good response. Word. Um, anything else you wanna discuss before we finish up? Anything you wanna talk about? Anything you wanna shout out? Anything like that?
Well, not mostly the again to thank Zenith for the last ideas of the deck because the inspiration came from as I told you about the deck from Thailand, the one.
Hmm.
So I decided to do some tweaks for my own playstyle, and then just to know that someone that's so aggro with their gameplay, and there's someone that's really good with that the deck that I have the most trouble with was able to give me that tip, just makes really this deck the best it can be, at least how I use it. And that's the thing I've seen in a lot of the, like when I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I played zombies, and
Hmm.
they were never really the biggest deck in the time I was playing it. But how I played it, it really showed like the deck loved me. Anyone else that played the deck was like, how do you play this deck? It doesn't work. Well, it worked for me. So there's always a certain amount of thing that even if you net deck a deck to play it and it won a tournament and everything else, you'll find that you just don't have the success the other player had, because you don't know the complete synergies behind it, even if you know
Right.
all the effects of the cards, because you don't have his experience and his gameplay in mind.
And how it, even once you know all that stuff about the cards themselves, how does it react to different opponents and all that too? That's something that you only get through experience, no matter how many times you look at the
Exactly.
cards. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Word. Well, Vampoch, anything else before you finish up? It's been absolutely wonderful interviewing you. I feel like I've learned a lot,
No,
actually.
no, and if people know from the Discord, we are both captains of our own crew, and so we are always trying to this. You were saying it's a truce, but no, of course, always a friendship in the game. We always go right. We'll go as rivals to the events,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
good to know someone is doing so much for the community, doing so much to make everyone participate in small, even it may be small tournaments in comparison to others. It's always good to practice with people that have a good level, and when bigger tournaments come around, this kind of tournaments really give the edge to the people have been able to play in these formats.
Yeah. And if it gives someone experience to do well further on once we have like full on sanctioned play, then I'm happy with
Mm,
that. Or people just have fun. As long as people are having fun, I'm having a great time.
that too,
But yeah.
that too. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the main things that I like. Did you know the manga called Baki? Baki
I
the Dropper?
keep hearing about it. I have to read it. I have a whole list of things I've got to finish reading, to be honest with you.
So the whole story is just another thing, but there's a certain chapter that they showed, and they said something very true. I feel that
Uh-huh.
is that everyone in that universe is crazy battle beasts. They know a lot of martial arts and everything.
Uh-huh.
But Baki, the main character, is mm, is growing in a much faster rate than everyone else, just because he doesn't train. He has fun while fighting. He likes fighting. Has fun with the concept of doing martial arts. So if you get to do something you have fun with, you'll probably be able to be better than anyone in any discipline you have, because you won't do it just because you want to or because you need to or anything. It's just you love to do it, and that
Yeah.
to have fun while you're doing it will give you all the edge you really need to go much over other players in
Nice.
any discipline.
That sounds like something you keep in mind through One Piece and biology and everything else you do. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, to be able to see a field that I enjoy, the thing I can grow in and still find something new every day is just something I really, really enjoy, and that's the main thing I try to do in everything I do.
I respect that. I respect that. I Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm honored to be a captain with you. Although you definitely earned your position, and I'm very excited. Um, word. I think now's probably a good time to finish this up. Thank you so much for joining me for this. Thank you for giving us all your insight and on the deck and about life too. You're a great dude. Hopefully, I get to have you on for another one of these because I'm sure this will is only the first of many tournament wins for you. Although you do have a bit of a target on your back. Um,
Mhm.
thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful night. And any last stuff before we finish up?
No, mate, thank you for the time, for your contributions in the community, and let's continue having fun in this game because it's amazing. The lore is amazing, and so everything is something we'll probably enjoy for a long time if
Uh,
it all goes well.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's gonna be wonderful. All right, thanks again, man. You have a great night. Okay.
Same, mate. Good night.
Appreciate you. Good night.